Okay, again, this is Chapter 1, Section 3, Part 2. So we're going to talk about big ideas in biology right now. And so one of the big ideas in biology is science as a way of knowing. So using the scientific method in order to know the natural world. So again, we talked about this last time, that science and biology, we're only describing the natural world. We're not going to be talking about anything supernatural, simply because we can't measure it. In order for it to be science, we have to be able to use a scientific method which uses experiments and measurement. And so it's very important that we distinguish that science and biology only talks about natural things in the natural universe, and then other things in society and such can talk about supernatural things. Another big idea in biology is our interdependence in nature. So not only are we dependent on nature and it functioning and its health, but also other living things are dependent on one another. And so a great example is pollination. So you have, this is a green metallic sweat bee, and it's pollinating this flower in my backyard. And so the flower, or this plant, is going to be dependent on the pollinator doing its job and helping it reproduce. The pollinator is getting nectar from this flower, and then sometimes protein from the pollen as well. And so they're dependent on one another. They both need one another. We're dependent that pollinators pollinate these plants so that they survive and give us oxygen, and then also, more than a third of our food comes from their ability to pollinate plants. So we're all connected on Earth and in this biosphere. We'll talk about biosphere later, but it literally means living planet. And so this relationship between organisms and their environment, and then also the flow of energy and cycling of matter, is what we were talking about when we talk about independence in nature. Interdependence in nature. So it's very important to understand this. So matter and energy, we're going to talk a lot about this because this is the core of science and biology, this flow of matter, this flow of energy, because all of life needs to obtain matter, nutrients for its body, and then also energy in order to fuel the processes of life. And so this for us is through food. We eat, that builds our body up, and then it also fuels cellular processes. And so matter and energy is a big idea in all of science, but also in biology. The cellular basis of life, and so all living things are composed of either one or more cells, and this is the smallest unit of living things, the smallest unit, most basic unit, and this is what makes us living, right? This basic unit called the cell. Right here you have red blood cells, and we have those flowing through our blood, and so that's one example of a cell in our bodies, although we have many different types of cells that function in different ways. Another big idea in biology is the transfer of information, this thing called heredity. We're going to talk a lot about this. We transfer information to the next generation through the genetic code called DNA. And so this information is transferred to your children and your children's children through this molecule called the DNA. And so, you look like you have different aspects from, your parents, whether it be a little bit more from your mom or from your dad, and this is through this transfer of DNA. This is called heredity. Another big idea is this unbelievable diversity of life, and we'll talk more about this, but that we have this unbelievable variety of forms on Earth. And so, this is just 6 photos of different things: a koala, some sort of cell here, tarantula, red-eyed tree frog, mushrooms. These are all living things, and as of right now, we've identified about 2 million different living things on Earth, but we suspect that there could be somewhere along the lines of 10 to, even some scientists estimate, up to 100 million different forms on Earth. So the diversity of life on Earth is quite broad. Evolution is a central part of our study in biology. Really, biology wouldn't make sense without this understanding of evolution, how things change, how living things change through time. And so we'll talk a lot about this towards the middle of the year, but you know, through fossils, there's many different ways. We'll talk more about this, but through fossils, we see that things change through time, and this is a central and core part of biology, is the study of evolution. Biology is that just sort of the idea behind structure and function, and so you have different structures on your body, and they have adapted in many ways in different environments, and this each structure has a particular function in the body, not only for you but other living organisms. They have a very specific function in order to help the living things survive. Homeostasis we talked about last section, which is to maintain a relatively stable internal environment, no matter what the external conditions are. And so the example we gave was, if it's hot outside, you go outside. In order to maintain a stable internal environment, you sweat, or your blood vessels in your body constrict near your limbs. They dilate in your limbs to bring blood to the surface of your extremities. Another big idea is that science, technology, and society. So we've used the information in science in order to sort of better society, whether that's in medicine, whether that's in some of the technology we use, just as this video in our computers and that sort of thing. Biology, we use technology and other sciences in order to and apply it in different ways. And so we're going to stop right here. We're going to talk about branches of biology in class. We'll just do a quick little mini lecture on branches of biology in class, sort of finish this up. Remember, you need to take notes. I also recommend to study the text as well. I have to zoom through PowerPoints because they only allow me 10 minutes at a time for YouTube at this point. So I apologize for going so quickly. Remember that you have a test this week, at the end of the week, on these sections, so chapter 1. So I'll provide you a study guide, and we'll make sure to review, and you'll be all set and ready. If you have questions, please email me, and that's chapter 1, section 3,